What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody is enjoying their Saturday along with a coronavirus filled weekend. The whole goddamn world is losing their minds. We're not going to talk too much about that. You can watch it on the news later. That's all they talk about. I figured since a lot of us are going to be out of work within the next couple weeks and we're going to be quarantined in our houses or our apartments, that I would take some of this time to be able to go over some of the Counter-Strike tips that I've found useful. So let's jump right in here. Let's start recording this just so you guys can see. Alright, so what I'm really wanting to focus on today is... Get these bots. What I really want to focus on today is the way that you use your keyboard, right? The way that you have things set up, your configuration. Now, everybody's configuration is going to be a little bit different, and it should be individualized. By no means do I recommend that everybody should use my configuration. My configuration, since I've been using it for so long, like since the Counter-Strike source days, I really can't change it without having to go through a huge adjustment period, but there's some parts of my configuration that really don't make sense and actually hinder my ability in the game. But that's totally besides the point. What I think that you should do is take the tips that I have inside of this video, find what works for you, find what doesn't work for you, and then just create your own configuration, you know? So what I'm specifically referring to that I think a lot of people miss out on, this is generally for people in lower ranks, is that they will have a button for their grenades, and they will just have a button that cycles through all those grenades. As you can see, mine's 2 right down here. Now, that's one way to get to your grenades, but let's say that, you know, I'm going up on site here, I'm a terrorist, and I need to get to that flashbang real quick. I need it right now. I have to hit it twice and then throw my flashbang. Like, that's a waste of time. I know it doesn't seem like a whole lot of time, but in Counter-Strike, as everybody knows who's played this game for a significant period of time, a half second or a 1 second can be the difference between you living, dying, planting the bomb, like all stuff like that. So what I would recommend for newer players is that they have a specific button for each grenade, right? Now, actually, because of my exec inside of here, I can't get to my incendiary grenade whenever I'm in a practice bot situation, which is okay. I should probably fix that later. But usually what I'll do is that to get to my HE grenade, that's R, right? Right next to the E button for use to pick up your weapons or to be able to plant the bomb. F for flashbang, makes sense, right? Don't need to explain that a whole lot. And then C for my smoke grenade. Now, if you look down at your own keyboard, you're going to have your fingers primarily located towards WASD. So RFC are the closest things, are the closest buttons that I can get, right? Now, do something real quick, because I need to get an AK. What I'll do to switch to my primary weapon, I have that set up to X, because that's also a very close weapon. Let's say I'm running with my knife out, I need to get up here, I want to be able to pull out my primary weapon as soon as possible, right? I actually have my scroll wheel down to switch to my knife. I've had that for years, don't ask me why. And then my scroll wheel up is to reload. I still jump with my spacebar. I do not focus that much on bunny hopping. And that's just a personal preference for me. Not saying that bunny hopping is bad or that it's a useless thing. It's actually very useful if you can become good at it. What it primarily says is that, like, when somebody knows how to b-hop really well, that they're focusing more of their time and more of their energy on learning how to maneuver throughout the map really well. And, you know, to some extent, you could make the argument that focusing on movement throughout the map might even be more important than focusing on aiming throughout the map. It's just whatever you think, right? That's what kind of makes Counter-Strike beautiful, is that there's not one specific way to do things. I have the V for inspect. That doesn't really matter. It's kind of a stupid thing. And then I also, on the side of my mouse, I have a Zowie FK2. I have 2 buttons on the side over here. So I just use the bottom button right down here, one of these buttons, to switch to my sidearm, because if I run out here, I want to be able to switch real quick. It's the closest button to my hand, and usually at that point, you know, I recommend that people don't have too many buttons on their mouse that are used for different things, because you want to focus primarily most of those buttons, or most of your energy when you're playing with your mouse. You want to be able to focus that on aiming and not really changing the way that you're putting your hand on the mouse. Like, I think that's really important. But if I'm at the point that I ran out of bullets in my primary weapon and I need to switch to my secondary weapon, I want to be able to get there as fast as possible. My talk key is Q, so also very close right here. Now, something that I also think is a little bit of preference, but I've always found success with it, whenever I walk, I have the shift set up to just hold it, right? So I don't need to continuously hold the shift button in order to walk. Now, this can be good and bad. If you're walking for long periods of time, your finger doesn't get tired and you're able to do different things with this finger. Like, I have my duck set to caps lock, so I can just hit this shift and then duck if I need to. I don't need to take my finger off of shift and then hit caps lock. I can just hit it immediately, so it makes me a little bit quicker in that sense. But sometimes you might forget if you hit that shift key, so you need to be really careful. You might make a step where you thought you were walking, you thought you had the shift key down, but you made a couple steps and now the enemy just heard you. So that's something that you can kind of throw up in the air and that you can figure out for yourself. I do have a setting on my keyboard as well that disables the Windows key, so you're not just minimizing the game or exiting out to it. Tab just continues to show everything. I do have the developer console enabled. Sometimes that can become kind of a problem. I've also moved the chat keys, so I don't want them to be like T or Y or anything like that. My chat keys are L and U. So that's much farther away than what my hand is going to be able to reach, because if you use the regular keys where it's Y, I'm sure that everybody has had an experience where they'll just hit their chat key and then they stop moving, and you're sitting there until you take one of your hands and hit enter. You know, and then you kind of look like a dumbass to everybody else. They know that you just hit your chat key. But I just like to keep those out of the way, because I'm not going to be typing unless I'm dead. Right? Buy menu is exactly the same. I do have settings over on my numlock side, and I do have a video of this if you guys ever want to check it out. I have different keys set up on my numlock, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, plus enter, delete. Those are all set up to buy different weapons, primarily AK-47, M4, all the utility that you're going to need, because if you're trying to do some math or figure out exactly what you want to buy, then you want to be able to do it quickly at the end of the round. I know some people can run through that buy menu really quick. I've seen some people who can do it. It's just whatever you prefer to be doing. And let's just see real quick. I would recommend having a key that can cycle through grenades anyways. Like, I do have mine set up to 2 just in case I really need it. I don't know. I've used it a couple times where you just need to get there real quick. And it works out, but I really wouldn't recommend it most of the time. Let's see if there's anything that I'm really missing. I'll just kind of go into my keyboard and mouse so you can see it here. So the duck mode is hold. It's not toggled. I don't want to have to hit my crouch key again to stand up. That doesn't make sense in a firefight. Walk mode is toggled, like I said. I don't know how my sensitivity got that high. All right. Go ahead and put on. And a lot of this stuff I put into an Autoexec. You'll see that some of these spaces are missing on the inside here. A lot of them I just put into an Autoexec just so that it's consistent every single time. And the nice thing about an Autoexec is that you can take that anywhere that you want to go. So if you're playing on a different computer, you can just inject that Autoexec and then all of your settings are automatically set up. So that's kind of nice. You can also do it with your crosshair right over here. And I do have different videos on how to create an Autoexec. Oh, I did forget. This one, while I'm in my bot DM, my Z key is obviously, what is that called? I can't remember what it's called. Fly around. But whenever I'm playing a regular game, my Z key is my jump throw key. I do have a video on how to create a jump throw as well. People view those things differently. Some people really like jump throw keys. Some people really don't like jump throw keys, and they think that they're kind of cheap. The one thing I do like about the jump throw key, and I made one whenever it was considered legal inside of professional Counter-Strike, is that it makes things consistent every single time. So if you want to jump and throw your grenades regularly and you think that that's the best way to do it, that's fine. Just understand that there is going to be a level of inconsistency with some of your smoke grenades. And some of those grenades absolutely need to be thrown whenever you hit the top of your jump. And if you don't throw it correctly, you might fuck the whole grenade and you might actually just kill you and your teammates. So that's something that you can look into, that you can decide for yourself what you want to do. If you want to do it, great. If not, like, I don't really give a shit. Like, that's up to you. But I just kind of wanted to go over some of the basics of why these things are important, and just being able to have something that is tailored to you, that is personalized to you, is going to make you a better Counter-Strike player in the long term. It's going to make you a more consistent Counter-Strike player, and it's going to shave off a few of those half seconds where those times it might be really critical that you pull out that grenade immediately instead of cycling through your grenades. You want to make sure you can get back to your primary weapon immediately in case there's somebody in front of you that you don't really expect them to be there. You want to give yourself a fighting chance. So, play around with these things. I wouldn't recommend that most people actually take what I do. I just want to kind of show you the importance of it and what different things can be done. But play around with it a little bit. Find out what works for you. And, yeah, that should be good. It should be all right. Well, thanks for watching today, guys. Stay safe. If you need to be quarantined, quarantine yourself. And happy gaming while we're in the end of the world, while everybody's losing their fucking minds. Take care, guys.